Welcome to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, the Minister, Jonathan Simmons, and we're very, very thankful to all those of you who are joining us here on the broadcast, no matter which way you're doing it. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to those of you watching on the replay or on demand. Thank you for tuning in because, like you say, better late than never. Appreciate you and appreciate you and appreciate you. And, of course, also to those who may be listening on WIGO 1570. We are now called the legendary WIGO Pacesetter 1570 AM. And the good news, you can also listen to us via the TuneIn radio app. If you don't have it, download it. It's a free app. Then put in WIGO 1570 in the search engine, and voila, you'll find us broadcasting to you right here, right now. Peace out and love to everybody on Twitter, on Twitch, on Facebook, and YouTube, and on the Roku channel, Tiki Live, and of course, my man, Mr. Gary Booker, and broadcasting on his station, the Phoenix Entertainment Channel. All right, we always like to bring on one of the most beautiful women on talk radio or TV. We simply know her as the Queen. Miss Tree Dolman is in the building. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Hi, Jonathan. Hi, everybody.
What's going on, Tree?
Well, Sunday.
Come on.
Sunday was my beloved hubby's birthday. So I just would like to wish a happy heavenly birthday to the love of my life, the most amazing man and husband in the entire world, the amazing, fabulous, handsome Chris Dolman.
Well, I know that you miss him, and certainly, that's all I can say. I know you must miss him terribly, but we thank God that you are carrying on, and have dedicated, your life to do some great things around the illness that struck him. And before we get into maybe our hot topic when Tyrone will join us, we did get some breaking news from out of the Hawks. Dikembe Mutombo, a guy who we had a chance to interview a few years back when he was at the Trumpet Awards. A great humanitarian, great basketball player. We all know him as doing the no, no, no. And right now we're going to be praying that it's no, 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 as he himself also is dealing with a battle with breast cancer.
Brain cancer.
Brain cancer. I'm sorry, Lord.
But is it brain cancer?
It is brain cancer. You're absolutely correct. Yep. I was thinking breast cancer because of all the stuff that was going on this past weekend, but it's brain cancer.
So they did say it's cancerous?
That's the last report I had. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and pull it back up here and see if we have any new news. Hold on one second. But that was the bulletin I got from the Hawks PR.
Yeah, I was praying and hoping that it was benign and that it wasn't malignant. And if it is malignant, which if it's cancerous, it is, I'm just praying that it's not a glioblastoma.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the breaking information from ESPN.com. Let's go to their website and see what they have reported here. And this was, let's see if we can get the correct date. This was October the 15th, 2022, and we'll read it as follows. It says, Dikembe Mutombo starting treatment after brain tumor diagnosis. Dikembe Mutombo is undergoing treatment for a brain tumor, the NBA announced Saturday on behalf of the Hall of Fame Center and his family. The NBA said in a statement that Mutombo, who ranks second in NBA history for career blocks, is beginning treatment in Atlanta and is in great spirits. Dikembe and his family also asked for privacy during this time so they can focus on his care. The league said they're grateful for your prayers and good wishes. Mutombo is 56 years old, played a total, I didn't realize it's 18 seasons with the Nuggets, of course, our beloved Atlanta Hawks, the Sixers, the Nets, the New York Knicks, and the Houston Rockets before finally retiring at the end of the 2008-2009 season. So, prayers up for Dikembe Mutombo. Just a good guy.
Yeah, no, it is. But I just want to specify that's not brain cancer. A brain tumor doesn't mean that it's cancerous. So you have a lot of brain tumors that are benign. So if it's benign, that means that it's not cancerous. So that's what I'm praying, that it is benign. And then you have malignant brain tumors. Those are the ones that are cancerous. And so all the reports that I saw said that it was a brain tumor. It didn't say that it was benign or malignant. At this point, he would know and his doctors would know, because when they do the operation to remove the tumor, that is when they test the tumor, and that's when they can find out. So the same day that they removed my husband's tumor was the day that we found out that it was glioblastoma.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that you got us updated on that. And certainly, you would know. And like I said again, prayers up to him and his family, and hopefully and prayerfully he can have a speedy and full recovery
Yes.
from what he's going through. Yeah, a lot going on. Like you said, this. You know, every time I turn around, it seems like there's some news that is not necessarily positive, but we just thank God that prayer is still available to all of us,
Yes.
and certainly we're going to go ahead and keep him and his family in prayers.
Yes. And
Like,
God is a healer. Like I always tell people, God is a
hey,
healer. There's nothing too big for God to do.
absolutely, and God is in the miracle business, and He has not left that business. He still continues to do that as well. So again, we thank God for him. And instantly, as soon as I pull up my Facebook page, it has something from A2D Radio talking about the same thing, that he is now receiving the best care possible right here in the ATL. Well, there's always something again going on in the world of sports. And one of the topics that I thought about here is, I don't know, Chi, have you been hearing or following anything of the news of Dan Snyder, who is the owner of the Washington, what do they call it now? The
The Washington Commanders, I believe.
Commanders. That's the name, the Commanders. Um, Talk about the NFL looking to maybe make him sell the team. I'll put that up here. The hot topic: should Washington owner Dan Snyder be forced to sell the team? Tree, what do you think? Do you think they should make him say, "Look here, man. I mean, you're just acting crazy. You're going to have to give it up"?
Well, a lot of people don't understand how the ownership with the NFL works, and it's owned and led by the owners. They're the ones with all of the power. They're the ones that make all of the decisions. In order for them to kick an owner out or make them sell their team, they have to get a certain percentage of the votes from the other owners. So what I will say is, do I think that they should? That's completely up to them. We know that there's a lot of controversy behind him. We know that there's been a lot of controversy to him hiring private investigators to investigate different owners from the NFL, and also Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL. I mean, there's only so much that we're being told. I'm sure that there's so much more going on that we have no clue about behind the scenes. But they just have to do what they feel is best to protect the shield. That's ultimately what it comes down to, is protecting the shield.
I like how you say that, protecting the shield. Yeah, because the NFL is all about that. Yeah, they're all about, proper PR, making sure they don't look bad in the public eye. So yeah, they're definitely all about that. So you said at the end of the day, it's really a bizarre thing, because when you hear about guys like you said, in essence, putting out the private detectives, he's already made the statement that he's got stuff on Jerry Jones. He's also made statements about the idea that he's got stuff on Roger Goodell. So I don't know what's up with him, but clearly Daniel Snyder's like, look here, man, if I go out, I'm going to try to take some folks with me. So and who knows, that could be why no one said anything, except, nope, excuse me. As I was coming in, I heard on one of the local sports stations that the Colts owner, Robert Isray, has come out and said that we should at least look into starting procedures to oust him as the owner. So, and that's gonna, he's got to know it's gonna open up a can of up on him, because this was a guy. And thankfully, the report has been he recovered, but he was had some problem with both alcoholism. And I think even he was at one point, maybe that was a dad tied to some shenanigans with gambling, but definitely had a big problem with alcoholism and had to step away from the team for a while. So if he says something, look for Dan Snyder to do something snarky. So I hope he's prepared to deal with that. So anyway, look,
Yeah.
you just can't have the kind of things going on that allegedly sexual misconduct, sexual harassment, allegedly threats to his employees. And then, of course, the other thing the league is feeling some kind of way about is the fact that he took an extremely long time to react to changing the name of the team.
Yes, and not to also forget the racism.
Right. Yeah. Because here's the thing about the whole thing about the team being called the Redskins. All they had to do was change the name to the Warriors or something like that. They could still. They actually could have. They could kill two birds with one stone. They actually could have now enhanced and said, okay, we're now supporting the heritage of Native Americans and gotten away from the actual name Redskins. They could have kept a lot of their same colors, which I think they still have. So why it took so long to make a name change like that. I mean, you have other teams in the NFL that use, I mean, you have the Chiefs, you have right here in our hometown, the Braves. So, I mean, there's plenty of teams that use those types of monikers. So I'm not sure why he resisted so long. He talked about the money and the changeover and the legendary name, but yeah, anyway, I think it's going to be an interesting battle. If someone wants me to go on the record saying right now, should he be ousted from the team or not? I think that there should be some penalties incurred, some fines, and then basically be put on probation. A lot of people say, well, it's been a long time. Well, I get you, but it's still something that he owns. So he owns the
He
team.
is the team owner.
He's the team owner. Okay, so you wouldn't want anybody coming to your house saying, hey, you got to sell your house because, and again, I'm not trying to make light or compare it to the same. I'm just using, example. You want anybody to come to your house and say because, you use bad language or because that, you cook stinky food and it smells in the neighborhood, you got to leave. I mean,
but I'm glad that you used that analogy because at the same token, when you purchase a home, it's your home, but you still have an HOA, a homeowners association, and the homeowners association has guidelines. The NFL has guidelines. So if you break those rules with the homeowners association and you break the rules with the NFL, so I get that he's the owner of the team, but he also still has rules and guidelines that he has to follow as well.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, you're right. They have, I'm sure they have codes of conduct with the NFL. I'm sure there's certain things you can and cannot do. And we've seen it. We've seen owners removed, not necessarily removed, but forced to sell their team. So, listen, we talking about the NFL. Guys, we also have a gentleman here that is an expert. He is not one, but two-time Super Bowl champion. He is a legend here in the state of Georgia, and he is also a member of the Fort Valley State Sports Hall of Fame. He's an all-around good guy. Number 38, Tyrone Poole is back in the building. Sir, welcome back.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Hello, Tree. Hello, Jonathan. All those that are watching and listening. Hope everybody's doing well.
Praise the Lord, sir. Well, would you like to weigh in quickly, sir? We're talking a little bit about Daniel Snyder, and should he or should he not be forced to sell that team?
I don't quite know all the details in it, but I'll just say this. We live in a world where people try to penalize you. And if they can take your coat, your jacket, your hat, and everything, they will. But, again, they're, just the rules in itself. I'll just leave it like this. There's some things that, you penalize somebody for, but I don't think you come in and you take something that basically they earned. And I don't believe in that. You penalize them, but but again, we live in a world, man, where people scare their own shadow, and that's just true. And there are people out there taking stuff that they didn't earn. They're just so that's the society we live in. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the NFL is going to do what they think is the popular thing to do that won't hurt their revenue, because really it's revenue driven. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I'm only get on either side of this because I don't know. Everything is alleged that he did all these different things and he misconducted himself. So, it's like we mentioned earlier, when you sign up as an NFL owner, there's certain things that you got guidelines. So if he broke those guidelines, I'm not trying to say necessarily you should take the team from him, but they should at least consider some type of penalty, which they've done with other owners. You get fined with a couple $1 million, whatever it might be, and put them on probation.
And I agree with that. And I'll say this too for anybody out there. I'll just pull something from the Bible. All right, let he who has not sinned cast the first stone. Now, there's a whole lot of people out there who doing a whole lot of things, but the only reason why they are not being caught is because nobody's looking for them. But if somebody would have put the spotlight on them, no, you didn't break a window, but your window is cracked. Okay, so the point is both of the windows are damaged. But we just happen to live in a world where people try to make one worse than the other. They're all wrong. So I'm pretty sure you're going to look at all of us. There's something that we're doing that's not pleasing. But because I only took 2 pieces and you took 15, yours is worse than mine. No, they're both wrong. So again, go search everybody's pocket. I bet you'll come up with a whole lot of stuff.
And we're going to end it right there, guys. A lot to think about. But hey, don't go nowhere. More Real Talk Sports coming up in just a moment.
The day has arrived. It's time to let more people know about your business. You have the right marketing plan and the messaging in place. But do you have the right messenger? Good advertising and promotions need a professional sound so the message can be clearly understood. Don't leave your brand image to chance. Let our team of voiceover experts at CME lend you a hand. Give us a call at 678-304-8121 to find out how we can partner with you to give your business its voice. Did you know that Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, Georgia also has Lincoln? Over 35 years of using the Vigil Touch to provide excellent customer service, works hand in hand with the Lincoln Motor Company to provide a luxurious and seamless way to acquire your next luxury vehicle. Lincoln has an array of full-service complimentary owner benefits. These benefits include hospitality partnerships, service pickup and delivery, all which can be accessed through the Lincoln Way app. You can even contact the 24/7 concierge to have someone assist you. Come and see our great inventory of new and pre-owned Lincolns today. Call 678-364-7345 to make an appointment with one of our brand champions or shop 24/7 online at allenvigillincoln.net.
All right, guys, we're back. Welcome to those of you who are just joining us here watching the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, the Minister Jonathan Simmons. Right next to me is the lovely Miss Tree Dolman, and beneath us both is the champion, Mr. Tyrone Poole. All right, we're going to shift a little bit here, and man, I can't believe it, guys, but high school football season is wrapping up. Yeah, we're almost at the end now, and we're looking at teams getting positioned now for the playoffs. I think, matter of fact, in some locations, the playoffs might be starting either, I think it's next week. So we're going to have some region activity and so forth and so on. Tyrone, you have been and walked down that path. Kind of what's going through the thoughts of team players and coaches as you guys know, okay, we won our region or we won our conference. What kind of the thought as you get into those last couple of games of the season and you guys are getting ready to make that run for the state championship?
Well, I know, Jonathan, sometimes, you ask the questions. I'm going to turn it around this time and let you get that first opportunity to express what your thoughts are. So what do you think that they are feeling? Plus you cover a lot of the high school, Jonesboro and Clayton County area. So what exactly do you feel after seeing every Friday those kids that have an opportunity to go to the playoffs? So what do you think if they're feeling?
Well, like I remind everybody, I haven't played a minute of nothing, so it's always an interesting thought for me. But at the end of the day, I will say the closest I ever came to really kind of being in the middle of it about maybe, man, I can't believe, maybe about almost a decade ago, we had a chance to go when Henry County made their first trip to the playoffs, and I can't remember how many years. And I remember I was honored when the coach of the team said, "Hey, listen, we'd like you to come in and give some words of inspiration to the athletes before they go out onto the field." And it was really interesting, man, just kind of looking as everybody's looking at me and just feeling the energy in the room. It just seemed like, man, there was just so much excitement. And then we ran on the field, man, it was a home game, crowds going bananas. It just seemed like, man, there was a lot of excitement, a lot of energy. And of course, what I did notice that early in the game, that turned out to create a lot of penalties and mishaps because that adrenaline was cranking. So for me, the takeaway I got from these young men was just that, hey, man, it was just a tremendous amount of excitement, a lot of pride. You got a chance to play in front of your family, and you had a chance now to compete against top guys in the state to try to take that next step to what everybody wants, that state championship.
Yeah, and you alluded, you may not have played, but you've been covering high school football for how many years?
It's been about a decade now. Yep.
So you're just as much in that locker room with them guys, and you see the coaches, you hear the coaches, you talk to them before, after, during the game. So your input is just as important as those who put the helmet and shoulder pads on. So that's why I wanted you to tell from your standpoint what you see, and you see these players firsthand. You're on the sideline. So it's been a while since I've been in high school. So you got the closest to what's happening right now and how they feel. When I was playing, it's like, back in back in the day, so to speak, it was like, hey, just go out there and bust them in the mouth, man. But you can't say stuff like that now. So that's why I felt like your experience with the high schoolers this present day probably outweighed anything that could probably be said. But no, that was good input by you.
Hey Tyrone, don't tell anybody, but they still kind of say like that now. Like if you get down there in that huddle beforehand, you got a lot of things they telling you that they probably couldn't say in front of the parents and whatnot. But yeah, there's still that same mo. You got to bust them in the mouth. You got to lay them out. All that kind of same stuff. Yeah, it's just great stuff to see. And we look forward to seeing if we can get a chance this year to actually cover some of the playoff games. We've not been able to do it in recent years because of time constraints and financial constraints. But we hope that this year we'll be able to at least get some footage and get a chance to interview some of the young men after some of these victories. So stay tuned to the Real Talk Sports Show. Tree, your thoughts on what you think these young men are thinking as they get ready now to make that next step into playoff football?
I mean, in my opinion, playoffs is just it takes your game and the game elevates to a higher level, a higher frequency, and you're back at 0-0. But the great thing about playoff season is that you've learned from the regular season, and you've learned things that are great for your team, and you've learned things that you need to improve on, and hopefully you've made those improvements. And hopefully you've also studied the opponent that you're playing, but you also need to be able to pivot and make corrections during the game. But I just think that this is a wonderful time where you have your school and family and the community cheering for you and rooting you on. And my philosophy is go hard or go home. So I'm always ready to go home. I'm sorry to go hard so I don't have to go home. And I'm thinking that that's what the players are thinking, is that all of the players out there, they want to go hard so they don't have to go home.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, Tyrone, you and I always like to take a look at kind of who the top teams are. So let's look at Class 7A. Taking this from the Georgia High School Football Daily. Class 7A, well, some big names that we know, some state champions on there. Number 1 ranked, the Buford Wolves at 7-0. Number 2, Colquitt County, 7-0. Valdosta, another big name in this state, number 3 overall at 8-0, and Mill Creek at number 4, 6-1 after an epic game that they lost against Buford last week, 39-27, as Buford got into a 25-6 lead and then hung on as Mill Creek made a big push. And of course, number 5, Carrollton, who Jonesboro had the unfortunate experience to run into those guys last year at number 5, also at 8-0. So the big boys are still doing it up big, Tyrone.
Yeah, and I think those that what you called out, Carrollton. I don't think Carrollton is 7A. Are they 7A?
They look like, according to this, hold on one second, let's go back and double check. North Cobb. Yeah, Carrollton. Yeah, they moved them to 7A. Yep.
7A. Okay.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Buford, they, moving up themselves. Buford has done a great job in coming in and playing great high school football. So it's going to be interesting to, for their head coach and that school itself to win championships on different levels. So it's just like a player, boxing, guy won a championship, the title in a middle class, and then the boxer won it in a lightweight class, and then had an opportunity to move up and knocked off a heavyweight. So it's going to be interesting to see how Buford goes about his playoff season.
Man, what you talking about? That's like Roy Jones. That's what he did. He kept moving up a weight class. Yes, sir. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. We heard a coach last week talk about the challenges when you move up to these different classes, because obviously you got bigger class size, more students, in many cases, programs that have a little bit more money invested. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting as we see these teams kind of roll into postseason play. So we'll be on the lookout for them as well. All right. Y'all been watching baseball?
Yeah.
I've been watching it, yes, and highlights.
Okay. I think Major League Baseball right now is, for the National League, is feeling some kind of way. Now, don't get me wrong. We want the best teams to play, but I really do think, especially here in Atlanta and in LA, and I think even around the country, people really wanted to see Dodgers Braves Part 3. And now they will get none of that. Dodgers out, Braves out. Are either one of you guys surprised that they got out the way they did?
I am. I am very surprised. When I was watching the game where the Phillies were just demolishing, and I do mean demolishing the Braves. I mean, oh my goodness, it looked like a professional team playing against a high school team. They were just having a field day. But I have to give hats off and kudos to the Phillies because they just played great, and you can't take that away from them.
No,
You know, I look at you got teams that the teams that are out of the playoffs, they all won over 100 games. So winning 100 games don't mean nothing. It's about getting into the playoffs and everybody finding their stroke at the right time. So to me, this is why you play the game. You get to the playoffs. And that's why they would say when you go into the playoffs, everybody's 0-0. You know, the Dodgers won 111 games. The Braves won 101. And still yet the Phillies, they only won 87. And they still in there. So, again, it don't matter. Get into the playoffs. There's a whole new season. And you want to catch fire in the playoffs. So, it just goes to show you can win 162 games. That don't mean nothing, okay? You got to play when it's time to play.
Yeah, no doubt. Philly's taking a page out of the Braves book. I mean, last year I think the Braves won 89 or 90 games, and they got hot. All those late season additions, and they took care of business. And like you said, this year they did not. And the same thing with the Dodgers. All that high priced talent. You know, you had just a lineup of all stars, and they could not get by the Padres. And ironically, in both cases, these were teams that played in their own division. So I don't know whether because they played them so much during the year, they were ready, they kind of knew what they were going to be up against. But the bottom line is both of those guys are out. And now we're going to see the Padres and the Phillies. Phillies, I think, first time back in the World Series since 2009. And I think the Padres, I think the last time they've been in was 1984 possibly. So it's been a minute for most of those teams to get close to the World Series. So to Philly fans and Padre fans.
East Coast, West Coast too. So, you know, that television, like you said earlier about football, is still about the money. So you still got the East Coast, West Coast. So, you know, whether it's the Padres or the Phillies. And the Phillies got a good, strong fan base. So let's not just because the Braves. Yeah, I think the Phillies fan base may be stronger than the Braves. So the Phillies, they, you know, you go back to Steve Carlton and you go back deep, the Phillies, that's what they do. But again, you still keep that East Coast, West Coast. But yeah, I think there's a lot of diehard Philadelphia Philly fans that will watch that game Northeast.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, certainly they do have a great fan base. Padres learning to be invigorated. I think their stadium is relatively new. They brought in a lot of high-priced talent from other teams through free agencies and trades like Machado and guys like that. So, yeah, it should be very interesting. Two teams that haven't been there for a while and see who's going to go on to the World Series. And meanwhile, does anybody have an update of the score with the Yankees? Because when I turned off, the Yankees were ahead. Does anybody know if they actually won or not?
Did they?
Let's take a peek.
Yeah.
And it does appear that, yes, the Yankees did win. As finally the final score, Yankees 5, Guardians 1.
Yes.
They take game 5. And the two big bats from the Yankees that had been eerily quiet going into this, Giancarlo Stanton and Judge, each guy was batting under 200 going to this game. Both of them blasted big homers early in the game to put the Yankees up 4-1, and the Yankees held on for a 5-1 victory. So the Yankees will now take on the Astros. Now that I think is must-see TV. You got two teams that have been in the thick of it over the last 15, 20 years. Astros been to the World Series, I think, 3 times in the last 4 or 5 years. So, yeah, that should be a good one.
Yeah, then with the Yankees, you got, like, history again. You know, the Yankees, the New York Yankees. So, you know, now you're resurrecting Babe Ruth and, you know, all those greats that ever put on the New York Yankees uniform. So that in itself is, again, a selling pitch for Major League Baseball. You know, you got storylines. You can find storylines all throughout the history of the New York Yankees. And then you got the Astros. They basically they want to redeem themselves. They don't want people to say, hey, we cheated and this and that. You know what? We back in this thing again. So what y'all got to say about that? So, some good storylines.
No doubt. Before we go to break, I'm going to give a big shout out to my lifelong buddy, Mr. Howard Arden, who's been a Yankee fan for over 45 years. Brother, good luck to you and your boys. Like you said, Tyrone, bringing up that history. And also a big shout out to the Houston manager, Dusty Baker, a guy who's been one of the great managers of all time, but yet to win a World Series. So somebody is going to make some history. All right, guys, speaking of making history, well, not a lot of history. We'll be back with more of the Real Talk Sports Show in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Did you know that Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, Georgia also has Lincoln? Over 35 years of using the Vigil Touch to provide excellent customer service, works hand in hand with the Lincoln Motor Company to provide a luxurious and seamless way to acquire your next luxury vehicle. Lincoln has an array of full-service complimentary owner benefits. These benefits include hospitality partnerships, service pickup and delivery, all which can be accessed through the Lincoln Way app. You can even contact the 24/7 concierge to have someone assist you. Come and see our great inventory of new and pre-owned Lincolns today. Call 678-364-7345 to make an appointment with one of our brand champions or shop 24/7 online at allenvigillincoln.net.
This is OJ Howard with Real Talk Sports.
What's up, guys? This is Tim Tebow. You're listening to Real Talk Sports.
This is Charles Woodson. Let me grab the mic. You ready? This is Charles Woodson with Real Talk Sports. Hey, it's your boy JB Smooth with Real Talk Sports.
And we are back. Welcome back to Real Talk Sports Show. Again, I'm your host, Mr. Jonathan Simmons. Right above me, the queen of the champion, Ms. Tree Doman, and Tyrone Poole in the building. Speaking of being in the building, ladies and gentlemen, I want to formally announce that the Atlanta Hawks have granted yours truly for the 2022-2023 basketball season, a season credential. That's right. We do not have to continue to go back every game and ask for credentials. The Hawks said, sir, you're all set for the year. So we're excited to once again cover our Atlanta Hawks live and in person. We look forward to seeing some great basketball from them. And speaking of the Hawks, let's talk a little bit about the NBA. Let me switch my glasses here. The NBA is just starting up this week. So, first of all, let's talk about the favorites. All the pundits guys are talking about is going to be Milwaukee representing the East, and they're going to square off against either the Clippers or the Warriors. Mr. Tree Doman, what do you think about that assessment? Bucks representing the East, getting by the Sixers, getting by the Miami Heat, getting by the Celtics against either the Warriors or the Clippers. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure. But I do, for the West, I'm definitely going with the Warriors. The East, I'm not sure. I need to see how some things play out with a lot of these different movements and transitions. I'm not sure how Brooklyn is going to be. I mean, there's a lot of talent out there, but I do think that I'm going with the Warriors. Well, I don't think, I know I'm going with the Warriors in the West. And the East, who knows? I'm also curious to see how my Detroit Pistons are going to do.
Yeah, Pistons always give the Hawks a bad, I don't know what it is. I think we talked about this before. I think they're too physical for the Hawks, so they always give them a bad time during the regular season. Tyrone, what do you think? Does that sound about right? Bucks represent the East, Clippers or Warriors in the West?
Right now, that's what the power rankings are. You got the Warriors. They're, number one. Then you have the Bucks, followed by the Celtics. So, right there, you're talking about the East. It looks like they're trying to say Boston and Milwaukee going to go at it again. But also, you got to look out for the Sixers. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this thing folds out. But again, I just think the Warriors, they do have some type of chemistry. And let's face it, that is what wins games. That is what brings money into corporations. It's the chemistry. And we just alluded and talked about baseball, where you can win 111 games, but that don't guarantee you nothing in the playoffs. It's the teams that had the chemistry. So the Golden State Warriors, even though they had a little incident with Draymond Green and Poole, I think they still have enough chemistry to be I know, right? To be a deadly team. But the Bucks, they're sniffing, but the Celtics are sniffing on the heels of the Bucks.
So Tyrone, you didn't get no inside information from your cousin Jordan about what happened, who kind of got the shots in? Nothing. You can't give us no little inside, no.
And all I can say is, based off the video, when you see a dude rolling up on you, man, you got to protect yourself.
Just saying.
Facts.
That's what you got to do. Yeah. So now, but my question
State
is
versus Michigan.
Oh, so you got to bring the Michiganders back in there. All right,
Well,
let's go.
I'm just saying, Michigan State, Michigan.
Right.
Draymond Green played at Michigan State. Jordan Poole played at Michigan.
Little rivalry bust out. Let's go social media here. Our man Todd, he said, I'm going to start calling Tyrone the professor. Yes, sir. Tyrone laid out. Yes, indeed. Well, yeah, man, at the end of the day, but here's my question. Everybody's talking about those guys. What about right here in Atlanta? What about the Hawks? Do we think now that we have our own big three with John Collins, Trae Young, and now DeJounte Murray, is that enough to get Atlanta back to the Eastern Conference Finals? I think they got a shot, man. I'm just saying.
I right now, it's only 30 teams in the NBA. And right now, when you look at the power rankings, they got the Hawks at 15. Okay. That's the middle of the road. All right. So evidently, those who go off of this power rankings, and sometimes they're, kind of point on, they're kind of spot on. But the big three, and I thought about it, and, you look at like the 90s, you look at the teams that won in the 90s with the Bulls, their big three was Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman. And each of those guys had a particular role. Rodman, we don't need you to shoot the ball. He knew it. I'm going to get rebound. There you go, Tree. I'm going to read. That's my job. That's the corner of my office. Okay, Pippen, your job is, if something happened to Michael, you are the next guy in line. Pippen, okay, I know my job. I know my role. Jordan, you are the president. You're the CEO. This is your company. Now, that's what the Hawks are going to have to find. If they can find their roles and they stick to their roles and everybody just do their job and don't worry about who gets the press and we're out to win this championship, then yeah, maybe that big three will work. But if they get in there and just like these young guys, these players, it's all about social media. I'm not getting my ink in the paper. All right. So again, just look at any big three throughout every decade. Bird, McHale, Parrish, where were their roles? Magic, Kareem, Worthy, just think about it. So if the Hawks can find their roles and they stick to them, then they'll win. Duncan, Ginobili, Parker, with the Spurs. So if those guys can just do their job, play their role, and play it well, then yeah, the Hawks could probably move up from the 15th, probably in the top 5.
Yeah, I think the team has got a shot. It's all going to be about, like you mentioned, the team chemistry. How can they blend? Because it's going to be a little bit different now. You got basically 2 ball handlers. You got 2 guys that basically play the point, and it's going to allow Trae to play some more off ball. I think with Murray, you're going to see him try to feed Collins more. You're going to see more spectacular plays, I believe. And I think for a young team, they're going to have to really move that ball and go up tempo. That's the one thing I think the Hawks have to do. You got a younger team. I'm going to try to run everybody out the building because you don't have the muscle against teams like Detroit or even a team like the Bucks, where they have, physical players in the paint. I'm like, hey, we catching the ball, boy, we got to go. And catch me if you can, baby. That's it. So if I was the Hawks, I'd be doing a lot of running, and even to some degree, now that you have Murray, some pressure. And same thing along with DeAndre Hunter. He's a good defender. Hopefully, stays healthy. And that's what I would do. To me, I'd be pressing and running.
Yeah.
and get the crowd excited. Get John with a couple of those John the Baptist dunks, and it could be on and popping. Speaking of DeAndre Hunter,
I know Tree. Go ahead.
I want to give congrats to him. Has now signed an extension 4 years at $95 million total. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I know Tree want to say something. I'm gonna say something real quick. Now, again, when you look at all these decades of teams that have won, you can go back to the 70s. Just looking at names, Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, Agent Baylor. Okay, you got again, I mentioned Bird, McHale Parrish, Magic, Kareem Worthy. All right, talk about big three. All right, and then you look at James, LeBron James, Bosh, Wade. So again, what I'm trying to point out here is the big man. They had all of those decades, or all of those big threes that I named, they had a big man. They had a big man and kind of like a medium man, and then a man that could just kind of like be that sports car. So I think without naming names, that is the key. That is a recipe to winning championships. You got to have a big man, a middle man, and a sports car. And that sports car could just be that, that point guard or that guy who could just penetrate, drive. Wade was that guy. Bosh, James, Wade was the sports car. James, what Bosh was the big guy, James was the middle guy, which he could have been big or small. So I just think, that's what the Hawks look at. Hey, what I did, Todd, I laid down principles. So if the Hawks are their big three, that's the roadmap. The roadmap is you got to have a big guy. I believe you got to have a big guy, a medium guy, and you got to have a small guy. No mean small in stature, but that guy, again, Wade, Bosh, James. Wade is the sports car. Bosh was the big guy. And again, James, he's like, in between. He could go big or small. But the only small group that I probably named, Jordan, Pittman, and Rodman. Now, Rodman was the big dude. He played against the big guys, even though he wasn't tall as the traditional center. But because of his toughness, he was able to play in the paint. So basically, you need somebody who can play in the paint, somebody who can bring the ball down, and then somebody who can just be that middle guy who can do everything. You can move him around on the floor. So that's what I
got a good one.
What was that?
Lambeer, Thomas, Dumars.
Oh, see, there you go.
Detroit basketball.
I was waiting for that one, baby. I was waiting for that one. I was waiting for Miss Tree. I was waiting for that Detroit reference. Yes, and that was another big three. And they won.
She stayed with the principle, though.
Right.
She stayed with the principle. The principle is still the same, even with the Detroit Pistons that she named. Bill Lambeer, he was the big dude. Joe Dumars, he bring the ball up. He's a sports car. So the principle still works.
Oh, listen, man, at the end of the day, you're right. I mean, if you look at great teams, they had those three guys. Now, of course, obviously, Todd, we're not trying to compare any of those teams that we mentioned, because all those teams, those three guys, or at least two of the threes, are going to be Hall of Famers. So we're not going to do that. But what we're saying is that the concept of having 3 star players, each specifically knowing their roles, that's the key to the championship. That's all we're saying, bro. We're not trying to compare the Hawks of 2022 to the Celtics of the 80s and 90s, or the Pistons of the 90s, or even early 2000s. We're not trying to do any of that. But at the end of the day, I do think this Hawks team is good enough to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's just my thought. I mean, again, the biggest thing with this team has been the biggest bugaboo since they've kind of tried to put this thing together is they have got to stay healthy. That's it. They have got to stay healthy. All right. See, okay, I got to put my shades on now because Todd has really dipped into the shades here. Okay.
And let me say this. Now, do you really need a big three? You could be like Shaq and Kobe. Now, if you get one dominant and one big guy down low, man, everybody else could just be supporting roles, man. So do you need a big three, or can you do it with big two?
You better have a real big two.
I think you need a 3.
Yeah. Yeah, because those two you just mentioned.
If you don't have that other third person and defense, that the other third person helps that other one get open a lot of times, I think.
And they got to be first ballot Hall of Famers. All right, Todd, I'm going to put your comment up real quick before we go to the break. You said that we just compared the Hawks big three to Larry, Moe, and Curry. leave it to Todd to take a shot. But we don't want to take a shot, guys. We want to give our sponsors a shot. We'll be back with more of the Real Talk Sports Show. Yeah, this man is crazy. In just a moment. My man.
Are you in the market for a new vehicle? Well, check out Allen Vigil Ford Lincoln in Morrow, Georgia. We have one of the largest inventories in our area for both new and pre-owned vehicles, so we're sure to have something for everyone. Family owned and operated since 1982, customer satisfaction is our #1 priority. Come see our full lineup of vehicles and find the one that best fits you. Give us a call today, 678-726-5739, or shop us 24/7 online at allenvigilford.net. Hey, sports fans, tune in for live high school football Friday, 7:30 p.m. on RealTalkSports.net. Check out your favorite Metro Atlanta teams as they do battle on the gridiron. It's your high school game of the week, live streaming free Friday nights on RealTalkSports.net. For more sports coverage and great sports talk, catch the Real Talk Sports Show Tuesdays, 8 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Twitch. Brought to you by Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, a business giving back to their community. Give them a call at 678-364-3979 or check them out online at allenvigilford.net.
Yes, indeed. Big thanks and shout outs to Mr. Allen Vigil, who's allowed us to once again broadcast live streaming football from Tara Stadium. Let me get it straight. It's now Hines Ward Field, a historic Tara Stadium located right in the heart of Jonesboro. So again, big shout out and kudos to Mr. Allen Vigil Ford. And he's also my employer. So if you guys need a car or a truck, just give me a call, 678-364-3979, and I will help you out as best I can. Yes, I mean, the Hawks, I just think they got a shot to make some noise this year. I think that if everybody stays healthy, this team is as good as any of the other teams that he mentioned. And I think that they are looking to try to develop the kind of chemistry which really makes a difference. I mean, you can have great parts, but if there's no chemistry, they don't gel, you're not going to win anything. So this team at least has shown some early beginnings of that in the summer league, but we'll find out tomorrow as they tip off. You know, like I said, again, the start of the NBA season, and we look forward to being there live and in person to see them Hawks. Go Hawks. All right, guys, how about college football?
Woo! Can we talk about the Tennessee versus Alabama game?
You already know.
I mean, woo! I mean, I'm sorry. I'm still excited about that game, and that was how many days ago? Phenomenal. That was the game.
A thriller. Tyrone, what did you think about? I know you were working yourself, but the shootout. Did you see any of the clips of that wild game with Alabama and Tennessee?
Well, you know, when we talked about scoring, I knew it was going to be a high-scoring game. You got Alabama coming in. They were averaging 40-something points. Tennessee, 40-something points. So you knew it was going to be a shootout. It was just who's going to play defense last. You know, who could turn the ball over to their offense one more time than the opponent. So in Tennessee, you know, their defense gave the ball to their offense one more time than probably Alabama had it. And again, Tennessee, they're number 2 right now, number 2 offensively. They're now averaging 47 points a game. Ohio State is number 1 with 48. So in Alabama, they're still, you know, hanging in there at 5th. And Michigan, Tree, they are number 7 in the nation in scoring. So they're averaging 42 points a game. So come on, Jim Harbaugh. But I just love their fight song, man. I love Michigan fight song.
One of the best.
Yes.
Yep.
But so that's my story. Tennessee, I just knew it was going to be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, so definitely it was it exposed the fact, and we saw a little bit of that in the championship game last year, that this Alabama team in the defensive backfield is not what we saw, you know, in years past, where they had some great defensive backs line up there. They just don't have that. And without getting the big pressure from the boys up front, and Tennessee, they just lit them up. It's a little controversy late in the game, those 4 minutes, a couple of calls that could have went either way that allowed Tennessee to kind of keep themselves together. And then I think some questionable play calling by Nick Saban down the stretch, not being able to get the ball closer for a game-winning field goal. The guy was kicking, I think, about a 53-yarder and missed it badly. But, of course, Tennessee turned around and took care of their business. And the people tore down the goalpost, baby. 52-49, a wild one.
Did you see the referees, though? Did you see the referees Once they gave that,
Right. We gone.
them
Yo,
jokers-
peace, baby. Peace out. They knew what was going to happen. They already knew.
That they did.
All right, here we go. Todd wants to give the big shout out. He says he believes the Final Four are going to be Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, and drum roll, please. The Michigan Maize and Blue. Well, listen, you know, for years we talked about the dominance of the SEC, and rightfully so. But you got to get a Big Ten credit. Two teams in the top 10 in the country, Michigan and Ohio State, both of them, to me, passed the eye test. They both look very stout. So I think that either anybody comes from the SEC or anybody else in the country, they better lace them up and hitch them up, because they're gonna have some problems against either Ohio State or Michigan. So yeah, man, great stuff.
That's true. Can I say something quickly though?
Go ahead. Absolutely.
I don't know how quick it'll be, but can I say something?
Take your time, because you're the queen, baby. Go ahead.
So, thank you. Well, everybody always talks about the SEC, rightfully so, right? The SEC nowadays, phenomenal. But do most people know that the winningest school in the history of college football is actually Michigan? Does people know that? Michigan has 983 wins, the most in the history of college football. And guess who's number two? Number two is Alabama. I believe they're at 942 or 943, right? And then they're also tied with, guess who? Ohio State, Big Ten. And if you look at the top 10 schools that have the most wins in the history of college football, you will not see SEC teams. You see majority Big Ten schools. So I just want to throw that out there, because you're always hearing, oh, Big Ten can't hang with football. Big Ten is better with basketball, this and that. But when you actually look at it, I mean, honestly, I get that nowadays in the past some years, right, the SEC has been dominating, but the dominant teams are actually from the Big Ten. I just want to throw that out there.
And I'm gonna add this too. You know, I really like Michigan. I really do. And the reason why I like Michigan, you know, being a defensive guy, but definitely an offensive guy, I believe that in order to win championships on any level, you got to be able to run the ball. In Michigan, they run the ball just like they did last year. But what is the most outstanding thing that I look at, they are in the top 5, top 7 when it comes to stopping the run on defense and a pass defense. The pass defense is ninth in the nation now. And their run defense, I think, is sitting at 6 in that top, you know, but they're top. So usually you see a team, if they are topped in running the ball, like stopping the run on defense, then that means everybody passing the ball on them. Now, if they're tops as far as pass defense, that means everybody's running the ball against them. But here, Michigan is ranked inside the top 7 rush defense and pass defense. So that lets you know that those boys, they can stop the run and they can stop the pass too.
Well, they passed the eye test, man. Now we were hoping to have. Go ahead. We were hoping to have our Georgia insider on, the soon-to-be Dr. Iris Fambro Carter, who has the Ultimate Dog Nation Facebook page. I think they're around 10,000 followers, many former Bulldogs. But she could not make it. But she swam up and down the insider saying that Kirby has been sandbagging, playing all the backups and letting them get a lot of time, and that when the time comes, Georgia going to look like Georgia. But we shall see as we get closer. Let's go right quick here, and I'm going to bring him up on stage because I see him because he got the hat on, boys. Anytime we talk football, but especially NFL and our Falcons, you know we like to bring the expert in, so we bring in the gentleman who is the official beat writer for AJC Sports for the Falcons. He's an award-winning sports writer, and he's Esquire par excellence. The man who rocks the fedora and the bow tie better than anybody I know, the one and only Mr. D. Orlando Ledbetter is back in the building. What's going on, sir?
Hey, Reverend. Thanks for having me on the show and for that wonderful introduction. Hello, Tyrone and Miss Three. Hope you all are doing well.
How you doing, D?
You as well. I like the hat. Oh, he voted early. Okay.
Today.
Let's get that close up one more time. You get voted today. There it is.
He's a Georgia voter.
You vote for Herschel?
Wow.
You're not supposed to talk about your vote.
Yes, that's right.
I'm just gonna say he's not swag.
Yeah, we're gonna leave it right there.
Hey, you better have to flash that badge on you, man. You better watch.
OMG.
I think I got one of them badges over here too.
Wow.
I'm gonna wear it next week.
Oh.
Boy, we some people, I tell you, we some folks. Yes, indeed. Well,
Hey,
D-Lad,
all the time, man. We can't be serious all the time. We gotta laugh a little bit.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
you're surely right, sir. And we've had some stuff to laugh about recently. That is no lie. I tried to watch a little bit of that debate the other night. I said, "What on earth?" But anyway, we're not gonna. Even though we'll talk sports, we ain't talk about that. But it was.
Yeah, I just figured if I voted early, I don't have to watch any more ads.
And there you go.
Well, I'm gonna say I love the hat.
Thank you. I saw Tyrone with his, so I just want to be in black, and I had to jazz it up a little bit tonight.
Well, D-Lad, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm going to text you the information here for this individual. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm gonna try to zoom in here. I went to the
We lost the Reverend.
Yeah. I think Herschel heard him talking. Like, I'm gonna show you, Jack. I'm gonna cut you off.
Oh, that's how we're gonna do it, Tyrone.
Mess with Herschel. Told you about messing with Herschel, Reverend.
Wow. Hey, let's see if I get this close up on this thing here. So I went to this polo and fashion event, and D-Led, I think you would have been very tempted. It is called Amazing Culture. I'll put the card up there. I don't know if you guys can see that. Light probably blinds it out there. This lady had one of the most. Yeah. See, I knew. I said, man, I think he might know you. Yeah, man.
Yeah, my guys at the patio over here in Smyrna have her in for the custom made hats and so forth. They're a little pricey, but hey, if you want to look good, you pay for them. I think I don't want to give all her business out, but yeah, very popular, amazing culture, and yeah, I'm aware and does fine work. A lot of my cigar guys, I got one around. I don't have one of hers, but when you smoking your cigar, you gotta have on your cigar hat.
So you already know, yeah. And that was the whole vibe up there. They had a couple of cigar guys there, and she was right next to them. So yeah, just great stuff. I will admit the price of the hats were a little bit above my pay grade right now, but certainly down the road at some point you want to do that. Who knows, D-Led? The way you be rocking them, man. You might be able to get a little like promotional thing going on. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we try to stay away from that, and I got an ethics policy at work I got to follow. So I just had to buy one,
What she did, nothing over $25 value?
Yeah. I think those hats cost way over $25.
Yes, they do, sir. You are absolutely correct. Way over that.
That's a good one. I mean, maybe Father's Day or, birthday, maybe the kids, the gifts have gotten a little better. As the kids got out of school and started making a little cash, maybe I'll put that on the list next time.
D-Led, tell the truth. I tell people that's the one thing I do enjoy about aging. My daughter fully grown. I get them grown-up gifts now. I get watches and the good stuff. And none of them bad ties. That's out. It's all out now. So thank God.
My father's birthday is tomorrow.
So I knew you were gonna do right. Happy
birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday, Daddy. Yes. And I'll never forget, after I graduated college and I had my job, I was so excited to go shopping for my father. So he would always come visit me. And I went shopping. And when I tell you, I went absurd in the store. I bought him so many outfits. It was bags and bags of stuff. And he was just like, oh my goodness, you bought me all of this? But yes, so I can definitely take the joy in your children as well, how we love blessing our fathers. I am a true daddy's girl.
I'm about to say, see, you got daddy's girl written all over you right there. I already knew. All right, before we go to a break, we'll go to social media real quick. And Todd probably going to have to answer this after the break. Let's go to it right quick. He said, D-Led, I see a chemistry. If I can ever get my cursor. Here we go. Said, D-Led, I see a chemistry with this team. You cover the team. Did you see the signs of that in the camp? We're going to hold on to that, Todd, because we're at the 9 o'clock hour. We're going to take a break. You're watching the Real Talk Sports Show. We'll be back with more of what you guys want to talk about. Football. football. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
This is OJ Howard with Real Talk Sports.
What's up, guys? This is Tim Tebow. You're listening to Real Talk Sports.
This is Charles Woodson. Let me grab the mic. You ready? This is Charles Woodson with Real Talk Sports. Hey, it's your boy JB Smooth with Real Talk Sports.
One of my favorite cuts there, my man, JB Smooth. Appreciate him and appreciate all those of you who are watching. Again, we want to give a big shout out to those of you watching on the replay and on demand, on Roku, on YouTube. We appreciate you so much for locking back in with us here. And again, we want to give a big shout out to those who are listening via the radio on WIGO, the legendary WIGO Pacesetter 1570 under new ownership. We're now officially black and female owned under Miss Sheila Brown. So you guys check us out. 1570, but the best way to do it, www.wigo1570.com. All right, guys, we saw some great football. I think D-Led, getting back to Todd's question, it does look like this team is starting to click on all cylinders. Did you see some signs of this in camp early?
Yeah, a little bit late. Not anything on the field because they didn't really have they really weren't playing anybody or playing anything. But the practice at the Jets when they started, it was a bunch of fights on that first day. And when you see the fight, I filmed it and it was on ESPN that Monday night game and everything. So got a shout out. Well, what you look for is who's not in the mix. Okay, who's passing on the fight? And I didn't see anybody passing. I saw everybody all the way in. When the linemen from the Falcons and the Jets got in it. And, going back to my days in the Bengals camp, the years when they were fighting each other in practice. But, if everybody's in the fight, that usually is a good sign. And that was one thing I saw up in New York that's like, okay, they may win 2 games, they may win 10, but they're going to fight. And that's what they've been doing through these first 6 games here. And now they're set up pretty good. If they can continue this, they're set up pretty good to keep moving on with here.
And I add this with D-Led. I think when I hear what the question is, the one word that comes to my mind, and this is probably something that the Falcons have not had in years, they call it an identity. I think Coach Smith is trying to give them an identity. We're going to pound the ball. Whereas years past, I'm pretty sure if you ask a true Falcons fan, I don't know, maybe, D-Led, you add to it, or Tree or Jonathan, but over the last several years, could you say what the Falcons' identity was? This is what they're going to do. This is what they're going to do. Or did they just come in and whichever way the wind was blowing, that's what you're going to see from us. But I think, Coach Smith is trying to establish an identity, and you win championships with identities.
Yeah, I think the former team had a good identity too. They were going to throw the ball, and they had some good wide receivers to get down the field on you. And, it worked. In 16, they pounded the ball at people. When the running backs, slowed down and the line wasn't blocking, then it kind of fell apart. They never had a good defense. Just one top 10 defense in the last 20 years. That was 2017. And this defense isn't a top 10 defense either. They are against the run, but that's it. So, but yeah, half of the battle is going out there and playing hard on Sundays. And there are no juggernaut teams out there. Nobody to be afraid of that's not named Buffalo or Kansas City. So, San Francisco had, let's speak the truth. That's what we do on Real Talk Sports, right? You got 4 starters out on defense. They lost 2 during the game, and they got 5 more on injury reserve. But, the Falcons still went out and beat the 49ers. So, you're going to have injuries in the NFL, but, don't go out and buy the Vince Lombardi trophy because you beat the 49ers in week 6. There's a lot of football left to play.
Well, one guy that impressed me is that guy. I think he's on the screen now, Mr. Troy Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that guy is as advertised, blazing speed. I saw him make what I thought D-Led was probably the play of the game, or one of the plays of the game. If you remember, there was a kick return, and this guy looked like he's getting ready to score, and Troy ran him down. Like he was like, been blocked. He's like, no, man, I'm not going to have it, and ran him down. And he just seemed to be around the ball the whole game. What have you seen in his development? And do you think this guy can really start to be a key player on this Falcons defense?
Yeah, on that punt return, that Ray McLeod busted out. The punter actually slowed him down just enough so Troy can get back in the picture. Now, he did have 12 tackles, and, you didn't see him getting beat on a lot of stuff. He snuffed out a couple screens and everything. It's just a matter of getting him on the field and letting his instincts take over. Because you read his bio, this kid was a quarterback. He played quarterback in college for 2 years, ran for 1,000 yards. Then they moved him around. He played like everywhere. So he's not a natural linebacker, but people haven't been able to trick and fool him yet. So he's been well schooled by the Falcons and their linebacker coach, brother Frank Bush from Athens, Georgia. He's their inside linebacker coach. So he's got the kid ready to play real quick, and now they need him. They needed him last game because Mykal Walker was out. There was a lot of talk around Georgia. When they took this kid, they're like, who is this kid they're taking from Montana State over Nakobe Dean from Georgia? All your SEC high and mighty folks were hitting that drum. And Nakobe Dean can't get off the bench in Philly. And Troy is, doing this thing here in Atlanta.
Yep, he like you said, I was very impressed with his speed. The other thing that kind of shocked me was the fact that they had him playing more like inside linebacker. I thought that because of his speed, they put him on the outside, but it seemed they had him lined up a lot right next to Rashaan Evans. Did you get any feedback from the coaches on why they set it up that way?
Well, they're 3-4 defense, Reverend. So, they got their outside guys. He can't play defensive end, so he's not a hybrid guy. He's not tall enough for that.
Gotcha.
So he's inside. But you have seen them play 4-3 alignments with Evans, Walker, and him as an outside linebacker in the 4-3 scheme. So you've seen DPs mix that up in some of the games just to get the kid on the field because he must have been doing pretty good. And they'll play that package when they're trying to stop the run, which won't be an issue against the Bengals, who only average 89 yards a game. So they won't need their 4-3 for that one. So they're gonna need their coverage guy. So he'll show himself in coverage. Maybe you put him on Hayden Hurst, their tight end, and then the D-backs are gonna be in for a long day with Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins for the Cincinnati Bengals.
I hope AJ don't get no flashbacks to the championship game, bro.
Yeah, they got history.
Oh, gone. Tree, any comments and questions for D-Led?
I do, but I don't want to ask about the Falcons.
All right.
I want to say, D-Led, I must say that I'm really shocked. The Falcons are doing much better than what I thought they were going to do. But my Detroit Lions, oh my goodness, like what is it? I know that we're barely losing, but I know that defense has to fix it. What do you see that the Lions mainly need to improve on? And do you think that we can move it better towards the end of the season?
Yeah, Coach Dan is, going to have to do something on the defensive side of the ball. I know Aaron Glenn's his buddy and all, and supposed to be one of the next head coaching candidates. But if they don't slow anybody down, it's going to be a long season in the Motor City. But I don't know if some people, fire the coordinator in the middle of the season. If he's got a better option, he better play it right now. Because if it turns into a long season for him, then, next year is going to be real interesting for the Lions.
Yeah. Thank you.
The offense is lights out, though.
Oh, yeah.
They've been scoring at will. Tyrone, more questions or comments for Mr. D. Orlando Ledbetter, sir?
Well, D-Led, when I look at the Falcons, I'm going to go defensive side of the ball. When I look at the Falcons, going back to the Seattle Seahawks, is staying on the field a little too long. 69 plays on defense to basically 54 for the Seattle Seahawks defense. So you can do it vice versa and say that the Falcons offense is not staying on the field long enough. But they were out there for 69 plays, more plays than the Seattle's defense. And then you look at the Browns game, the Falcons defense was out there 71 plays to the Browns 55 plays on defense. And then you got the Bucks. The game against the Bucks was kind of even, 57, 56. The Falcons defense stayed out there a little longer. And then, so I guess what I'm asking is, what do you see when you're at the games watching? Where are the Falcons missing it that's keeping them on the field more than they're supposed to be? Is it third down? Is it first down? Because I know first down, if you allow a team to pick up 5 yards on first down, you pretty much saying that they got a high percent chance of getting a first down. So is it third down, first down? What do you see the reason why the Falcons defense is out there on the field longer than they should be?
Yeah, Tyrone, good point. And, it's first and second down because they've been playing a lot of short 3rd and 2s and 3rd and 1s and so forth. So those aren't conducive to getting off the field. And it's been pretty consistent with the opposing teams that you got 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. So that's the problem. And that's a scheme issue because he's playing a lot of soft coverages. And I know against Tampa Bay, they bracketed Mike Evans and Goodwin and left Fournette alone underneath to get the check downs and so forth. And they were missing some of the tackles and the check downs there. But that's why they're on the field a lot more in those games, because they're soft coverage and they're giving up too much on first and second down.
Yeah, and I go back. I know a lot of Falcon fans don't like to hear this, but I think that's probably one of the reasons that they lost the Super Bowl against the Patriots. Just me personally talking here from a defensive standpoint. You can't play man to man. I'm not saying that's what the Falcons are playing right now, but what I'm trying to center this around is if your defense is out there longer than they're supposed to be. I always say a defense is like a cheetah. It's like a cheetah. If a cheetah has to run longer than it needs to catch its prey, that cheetah has to sit there and recover first before it starts eating. And by then, a lion or a hyena came up, or a pack of wild dogs came and took the food away, and the cheetah ain't got no energy. So I always paint the picture of a defense like a cheetah. If you don't give us rest, then at the end, we're going to end up giving up a big play. So that's why when I go back, I reference to the Super Bowl. I'm like, when you get tired, like they say, when you get tired, it makes cowards out of all of us, man. You start grabbing, your technique starts to fall apart. So I hope that they can fix that defense and get that ball to the offense and let them do what they got to do and keep the defense rested. And they just from a defensive point of view.
Yeah, one big thing that happened this week, and I do all the 9 categories and 4 of them on defense. And the Falcons' run defense, they stopped the 49ers, 16 carries for 50 yards. That brought their average down to 104 a game, which put them in the top 10. So they have a top 10 run defense now. The problem, though, is the pass defense is giving up 267.1 yards and 267.7. That's 28. So you got a top 10 run defense and a 28 pass defense. So what are people gonna do? They ain't not running no more. They're getting ready to get a whole lot of Joe Burrow, and whoever's that quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, they're gonna get a whole lot of that too. Maybe some Christian McCaffrey before he gets traded, but you don't have to worry so much about Carolina as you do Joe Burrow that's sitting right in front of you.
Yeah, guys, this is one more last question from me. Now, D-Lay, you just explained something that we talked about. I mentioned about Michigan. Michigan defense, they're top 10 passing and running. So it's like they have a real solid defense. Usually, like you said, if a team can stop the run, you now have to look at the pass. If their pass defense is at the bottom, then that means people they're throwing the ball against them more than they run the ball. So when you know that a team can stop the run, do you come out in a spread offense and get them maybe into a nickel style defense, and then you try to hit those little gaps, hoping that you can get to the second level faster? How do you think teams will start playing the Falcons if they have not already shown it? What would they start looking at as a recipe to beat the Falcons?
Yeah, they're gonna come out, and I think the Bengals, they're different. They're not gonna they're gonna run enough Joe Mixon to make you to keep you honest. But other teams like Carolina, they're gonna test you. They know that that's your strength, and if they take that away, then you're scrambling all the way around. So people are gonna test them in the run game, but the Bengals might be more gonna play a little lip service to them because you wanna take away a strength. That's what you want to do. Somehow, if their strength is stopping the run and they can't defend the pass, you're going to get a lot of pass. You're going to get death by crossing routes. If they're dropping back far and they're death by checkdowns, that's what Tampa Bay did to them. I never heard of Leonard Fournette catching 10 passes before, but he did that in that game. So, they're gonna make you play slow. Then the Falcons' counters got to be stopping people in the red zone. They got good red zone numbers, or getting turnovers like they did against San Francisco on the 3rd and 1, where Rashaan Evans knocked the ball off Jeff Wilson and AJ Terrell scooped it up. They got to play that kind of opportunistic football until they get a little bit better in the secondary, and that's not going to happen because they just lost Casey Hayward, who went on IR today. So you're going to start Darren Hall outside, or second-year Darren Hall, or D. Alford, the player that came over from the Canadian Football League from Tuscaloosa. So those two guys are getting ready to get a little workout here in Cincinnati against the Bengals.
But one thing might help, man. Alford did play pretty well in the preseason. I think he's a shade younger than Hayward. So hopefully, man, those fresh legs and he can get some of that vibe. And I tell you the other big key to the Falcons defense, which is what we saw on Sunday. The Falcons defense is this. Offense run the ball for about 170 yards, 9 of 14 on third down, and limiting the other team by doing that to only 57 plays, was about on par with them. And, oh, by the way, time of possession, Falcons win that battle. They had the ball for 33 minutes and 25 seconds as instead of the 26 minutes that the ball was held by the 49ers. So to me, that's the key to the Falcons defense right now. They're going to have to continue to pound away at that ball because the clock's running all the time. Yeah. Those short slant passes. And I tell you a guy I'd like to see, what's the young man who's another Swiss Army knife guy? Was it Burkert, the wide receiver that used to play lacrosse?
Yeah, the lacrosse kid, yes.
I'm telling you, they need to bring that guy out for possession receiving. To me, when I look at him, he's like a poor man's Edelman. I know you were talking about a guy's a legend with Tom Brady, but he's got that same type of energy. He's quick, he's shifty, and the guy catches everything you throw to him.
Yeah, he was a good lacrosse player. Played some option quarterback down in Florida. I'm sure he's been inactive for some games, active for others. I'm sure they got to figure out some other stuff in the passing game. Getting that guy in there is like a second priority to getting Kyle Pitts involved. They got some major problems on offense in the passing game right now. One of them is getting Kyle Pitts unleashed.
Well, Mariota did exactly what we need him to do and continue to do for the Falcons. He played error-free football, very efficient passing the ball. It wasn't 200 yards, wasn't even 250 yards, but he only had one incompletion for the game. Now, obviously, he's not going to do that forever, but that was, to me, what I saw reminded me of Marcus Mariota when he was at Oregon. He was a Heisman Trophy winner. He ran the ball very efficiently, and he made pass plays when he had to because primarily, as you know, D-Led, once you kind of get that run game going and you got a play call like Smith, I saw something I haven't seen since the Super Bowl years. I saw Falcons wide receivers is like by themselves, like wide open. And even a guy who does not accurate like Mariota, he can throw it to a wide open guy, usually.
Yeah, and he that was his 5th best game of his career, passer rating wise, 144.6. I went and looked up all his numbers. His best game was his first game. He had a 158.3 passer rating in that game. So yeah, but the problem was he didn't do that week after week, Reverend. Now can we see that every week? I mean, we don't need 13 or 14, but we need to see 15 or 20, 16 or 20, no fumbles, no ball handling stuff. So if you can do that and start stacking games like that, then you're gonna be in the league for a while. And like for instance, Matt Ryan had like 113 games where his quarterback percentage was over 100. That's the consistent type of quarterback play you need to go to the playoffs and be better and have a chance in the big picture of the league.
As D-Led, are you concerned about the Falcons are switching over to special teams a little bit? Are you concerned with their field goal units?
Well, they had a miss in Tampa, 52 yards wide right. They didn't have any attempts in the last game. He just made the 4 field goals, but Koo he'll miss and then make 30 straight. So I'm thinking he's gonna make 30 straight before he misses another one. So I'm not worried about him. He does have a new operation with the holder and long snapper. They couldn't afford the all-pro long snapper. Josh Harris is with the Chargers now. So I'm not worried about that long term.
Speaking of Josh, made a huge play defensively for them last night in that game. So, yeah, man, and a great guy. Good Christian brother, man. Solid guy. Definitely going to be missed. All right, let's go to social media real quick. Our man Todd's got a question for D-Led. So, D-Led, we all saw you in that suite drinking beer with the linemen. LOL. What was up with that? Is that going to be a tradition? LOL.
It was spontaneous fun. I wasn't in there. I was upstairs writing. I was mad because my interns were down there and they didn't even see it. So, but they were just trying to figure out where they were supposed to go, probably. But we found out about it, and it looked like they were having some good organic fun. Coach said if they won the game and went over 100 yards, they could have their little bill party after the game, and so they hey, more power to them. They're grown, and hey, who doesn't want to celebrate when you have a win?
Yeah, like I said, to me, it was the best overall game of the season for them. And again, yes, you're right. As you mentioned earlier, you take into account that you had a depleted San Francisco team, especially on that defensive line. You got a guy in Bosa and Armstead. I mean, you got the two beasts, so I get it. But at the end of the day, you got it's like a fighter. You got to fight or play who's in front of you. And the Falcons had some of their own injuries they had to deal with. They got out there, they did what they had to do, and they won the game impressively by 2 touchdowns, 28-14. So yeah, man, kudos to the Falcons. And I need some help right now, though. I need some help. I'm looking for the queen to bust out the sheets. Huh? Let me get it close up, baby.
Let's see.
Ooh, I see some W's over there.
3-3. Watch out there. Another W.
And not only 3-3.
3-3.
Somebody told me they're in a tie for first place for the NFC South. What?
Yeah.
Oh.
And speaking of,
Uh-oh.
well, my Lions had our bye, but my Vikings, I mean, can we say 5-1?
Whoa.
All right. Just want everybody to see that.
Bring back the purple people eaters. How about the Vikings?
But I do have to say, I am pleasantly surprised with the Falcons. I thought they would win 4 games this season, and they've already won 3. I said maximum 5 games, but I thought they would win 4. So it looks like they may actually do that. I still don't think they'll be a 10-win season for them, but yeah, they only have one more to go to beat what I said.
Go ahead, Tyrone.
I got one more question for D-Led. This is talking about the offense of the Falcons. Detroit Tree, this is you're gonna thumbs up on this one here. Detroit offensive line is protecting Jared Goff better than the Falcons offensive line. The only quarterback that's been sacked the most in the NFL, we all know, you can just take a guess, Justin Fields up in Chicago. But the Mariota has been sacked, it says 14 times here. And again, Jared Goff has only been sacked 7. Do you see this as something that's going to be a problem, with the offensive line? What do you see?
Yeah, they're playing too. The offensive line strength is not a pass blocking line. We know that, right? It's the same guys who gave up 40 sacks a year for Matt Ryan. So he's trying to keep them out of obvious passing situations. And when you see the sacks, they're usually on third down in an obvious passing situation when he's in trying to throw from the pocket. He's going to get away from some of the sacks, but, I mean, you saw people run right around Caleb McGarry and came right through Elijah Wilkerson as soon as they knew they were passing. Granted, the 49ers, even their backups are good pass rushers. So he's trying to – the coach is calling the game where he doesn't have to get into those situations by running the ball and running RPOs and so forth. But Jamie Dukes taught me this a couple years back. He said once the team gets 4 games of tape on there, they get the game on 4 games of it. They got your tendencies down, and they can judge, what you're going to do. They're going to start taking the stuff away. Those in-cutting routes that they've been hitting, they're not going to be open. So, then Arthur Smith's going to have to readjust the route tree and find some more throws to come off of those RPOs where you're going to see them jumping some of those routes here in a couple weeks because they got everything on tape now.
And that's why I love the Bill Walsh offense, that West Coast offense. It's like they gave you different formations, but they pretty much going to run the same routes, man. And but you had to line your defense to the formation, So it's almost like Bill Walsh was making your defense, their offense was dictating what your defense is going to be in. But yeah, Arthur Smith, he's going to have to make those adjustments for too long.
Yeah, no doubt. Bill Walsh was the king of death by the slant route. They were going to slant route you to death if they could, and it worked for years.
Well, like I said, man, they might have to bring something out of the old Patriots handbook, that pick play. Like I said, I'm still going to champion. I know they got other issues there with that wide receiver core, but they can sit the guy down they got from the Raiders because he really hasn't been a big factor. I say bring the little guy in, let him see what he can do. Like I say, one thing I will say, if you throw it to him, he's going to catch the ball. All right, speaking of catch the ball, guys, we got to make sure that everybody catches where all of us can be found. So as we wrap it up, tell us where we can find you, D-Led, social media and website. Mr. D, Orlando Ledbetter, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Social media, at DOrlandoAJC on Twitter, at DOrlandoLed on the gram, and our website, ajc.com. Go ahead and bookmark that Atlanta Falcons page. Thanks for having me. You all have a great evening.
All right, D-Led.
Yeah. There it is.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, Mr. Tyrone Poole, the floor is yours.
You know what? I want to give shout outs to Benedict Tigers, man. SIAC, HBCU. Them boys are 7-0. They went down to Albany State this past weekend and beat them on their homecoming, and they beat Fort Valley the week before on their homecoming. So shouts out to Coach Berry, who came in from Southern, I believe, and took over that job. This is his second year there, and he got them boys believing in themselves. They are 7-0, and good job. But again, Tyrone Poole, 38, all social media.
Tyrone Poole, we thank you, sir. Until next week.
All right. Y'all work that thing.
Ms. Tree Dolman, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. You can find me on Instagram at Purple Diva 13, and as well as Ms. America International 2022. And on Twitter, I'm the Purple Diva 13 and Ms. America International 2022.
Follow the queen. All right, guys. I'm back. There I am. Okay. Hitting too many buttons. All right, guys. Like I said, guys who know me, I'm a real live minister. Please, I'm going to implore you, if you don't know Lord Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, please get to know Him today. Nobody loves you like Jesus. Nobody loves you like Jesus. He died for you, and He rose from the dead, so that if you repent of your sins and believe in that, you get to have two great things happen. Number one, you become a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. You become an adoptive child of God with all the rights to. So that means you can go to God like your Father, which He is. Ask Him anything that you need or desire, and He will grant it unto you according to His will. And if and when you die, you go to that wonderful place called heaven, where you got nothing but great people, good people, love everywhere, sun is shining, and you avoid that nasty place called hell. I don't know about you, but I like option number one instead of option number two. All right, guys, we got to wrap it up real quick. Until the next time, God bless you, and have a wonderful rest of your evening or day, whichever may apply. So long.